My phone buzzed while I was standing inside a marble hallway I paid for. The message was short and cold. You do not need to come. My mother does not want you here. I stared at the screen and smiled. Because 1 hour later, everything they owned would stop feeling like theirs. My name is Rachel. I am 46 years old. I built my life from nothing. I own a logistics company I started from my garage 15 years ago. Long nights. Missed birthdays. Coffee instead of sleep. When I married Daniel 8 years ago, I believed I was finally choosing peace. He was gentle. Quiet. Always said family comes first. His mother, Evelyn, lived modestly when we first met. She hugged me too tightly, called me dear, and reminded me often that her son deserved the best. 2 years ago, Evelyn got sick. Nothing fatal but expensive. Daniel cried in our kitchen one night. He said my mother gave everything to raise me. I owe her comfort. So I paid. Hospital bills, private doctors, luxury care. Then one day Daniel came home glowing. He said my mother found the perfect house. A quiet gated community. A place she could heal. I said how much. He hesitated, then said a number that made my chest tighten. I still said yes. I paid for that mansion. Every wall, every chandelier, every inch of polished stone. I did not put my name on the deed. Daniel said it would mean more to her if it came from him. I believed that was love. The first time I visited the mansion, I felt invisible. My heels echoed on floors I paid for. Yet no one looked at me. The air smelled like fresh paint and expensive candles. The kind that never burn completely. The kind bought to impress. Evelyn walked ahead of us pointing at artwork. She said, Daniel, you did so well. I waited for her to look back. For a thank you. For eye contact. For anything. She never did. At dinner the air felt thick. Heavy. Like a room holding its breath. Silverware clinked softly. Glasses touched. A quiet celebration I was not part of. Evelyn smiled at Daniel and said, some people buy things to feel important. Her eyes flicked toward me for half a second. Just long enough. Daniel laughed. Too loud. Too fast. I swallowed my response. I told myself she was sick. She was adjusting. She was scared of losing control. Weeks passed. Then months. I stopped being invited. Family lunches happened without me. Holiday plans changed last minute. Excuses stacked on excuses. Photos appeared online. Daniel's smiling. Evelyn's smiling. Their arms linked. A perfect picture. An empty chair where I should have been. When I asked Daniel, he sighed. Like I was the problem. He said my mother is sensitive. She feels judged. I said, judged for what? He said your success intimidates her. That sentence stayed with me. It sat heavy, unanswered. Then small things started changing. Quiet things. Daniel stopped sharing finances. He stopped asking my opinion. He stopped updating me on plans. He took calls outside. Late at night. Whispering. He locked his phone. Face down on tables. Passwords changed. One night, I asked him directly, are you hiding something? He kissed my forehead. Soft. Familiar. Dismissive. He said you worry too much. That was the night I stopped trusting my comfort. Last Friday, I decided to stop asking. I finished work early. Shut down my computer. Ignored the ache behind my eyes. I bought a bottle of wine. Something expensive. Something symbolic. I drove toward the mansion. The sun low. Sky burning orange. Halfway there my phone buzzed. You do not need to come. My mother does not want you here.
No greeting. No kindness. No explanation.
Just dismissal.
I pulled over.
My hands trembled on the steering wheel. Cars passed. Music played from open windows. Life kept moving. I typed one word. Understood. That was the moment something inside me went quiet. Not broken. Resolved. I turned the car around. Drove back to my office. The building was nearly empty. Footsteps echoed. Air conditioning hummed. Lights flickered like tired eyes. I sat alone and opened my laptop. I reviewed years of transfers, medical expenses, property payments, staff salaries, renovations, security upgrades, all from me. Then I opened the property documents, and my breath caught. 3 weeks earlier, ownership had been shifted.
Quietly, carefully.
Not to Evelyn, not directly to Daniel, but to a holding company. Daniel was the sole owner.
My chest tightened, not with pain,
With certainty, everything aligned. The distance, the silence, the confidence he suddenly had.
My phone rang. Daniel, he said.
Hey, my mother needs rest tonight.
I said.
I know.
He paused. You sound distant.
I smiled at the empty office, at the reflection of a woman who finally understood.
I said.
Maybe I finally am.
He said.
We will talk tomorrow.
I said.
Yes, we will. I ended the call. I was done pretending. I did not cry. I did not throw anything. I did not break. I worked. I called my lawyer. Then my financial advisor.
I said.
I need clarity. I need control. I need action. My lawyer asked, how soon? I looked at the clock. Exactly 1 hour since the text.
I said. Now.
Documents flew through email. Agreements were reviewed. Clauses highlighted. Notes added. Everything was tied to my funding. Every luxury. Every service. Every comfort they enjoyed. At the 60-minute mark, I pressed send. I canceled all active payments. Maintenance contracts ended. Security staff withdrawn. Housekeeping stopped. Utility accounts frozen. The house went silent. Even from miles away, I could feel it. Then I called the bank.
I said.
I am removing my guarantee on the bridge loan. The banker inhaled sharply. He said that triggers default review.
I said. Proceed.
At the same time, my lawyer filed an emergency injunction. Marital asset dispute. Fraud suspicion. Financial misrepresentation. The mansion froze instantly. Legally. Financially. Emotionally. My phone vibrated nonstop. Daniel. Evelyn. Private numbers. I let it ring. Finally, I answered Evelyn. Her voice shook. Rachel, something is wrong.
I said.
No, something is right. She said. The power is gone. The guards left. They say the house is under investigation. I said calmly. You live in what my trust allowed.
She cried.
You would throw me out. I replied. You threw me out first. She screamed. Daniel loved you. I said. He loved what I paid for. I hung up. Daniel texted. What did you do? I replied. Understood. Daniel came home late that night. His shoulders slumped. Confidence gone. Voice small. He said. You humiliated my mother. I stood by the window. City lights blinking like distant signals. Cars moving. Lives continuing.
I said. You erased me. He said.
It was temporary. I turned to him slowly. I said. So, was my patience. He tried to explain. Words spilled. Excuses tangled. Stories changed. I interrupted. I know about the holding company. I know about the plan. I know you were waiting for the house to settle. His silence said everything. The next morning, he was served. Divorce papers. Asset recovery claims. Financial investigation notices. The mansion was sold months later. Quietly. Without celebration. The proceeds returned to accounts where my name belonged. Evelyn moved quietly. Back into a life she pretended she never needed. Daniel disappeared from my daily life. From my home. From my future.
Peace returned.
Now when my phone buzzes, I read every message clearly. Because the most expensive lesson I ever learned was knowing when to reply with one word. I did not lose my husband. I refunded a betrayal that was never worth the cost.